runner. However, he might miss 1 to 2 weeks due to this injury. His head coach, Nick Sirianmi, said, quote, he's a freak. He heals fast. I will not rule him out this week. But other people have different things they say. A lot to keep eyes on. Let's start there. MVP, Jalen Hurts. Eagles, best team in the National Football League. But, Joy, can this injury impact the MVP race for Hurts?
I think it can if he misses multiple games. Now, should it is a different conversation. If he misses the rest of the season, I think it's fair to entertain Patrick Mahomes as the MVP. Obviously, availability is a skill, and it matters, and it obviously influences numbers and records and so on and so forth. So I don't think that it's irrelevant if he misses multiple games that it should be considered in his MVP race. But if he misses one, absolutely not. Again, this isn't tight when it comes to records. The Eagles have lost one game. I feel like maybe we don't say it enough so people forget or something. Everybody acts like the Eagles are just like in the mix. No, they've lost one game.
That's right.
One game. One game. So the margin of difference between teams and records is significant. I won't say it's massive, obviously, but it is significant. So when you look at that alone, team success with the numbers and the statistics and the influence that Jalen Hurts has had on the Eagles this season, I don't think that you can deny, although people are still trying to do it, that he is the MVP. So I think missing one game shouldn't affect it. If it becomes multiple games, that's a different conversation.
It's fascinating because right now, Patrick Mahomes, he currently is a leader in the MVP race, according to Las Vegas. Then you have Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, who are tied. I believe it should impact the MVP race if he misses a game, if he misses games. But I believe the best ability and the most important ability, like Joy has alluded to some degree, is availability. That's what they tell us all the time in the locker room, 2-5. The best ability is availability. If you are unavailable, now it just comes down to what your numbers look like. Yeah. What your numbers look like. Yeah, right. If Jalen Hurts' numbers are so solid that he can be absent and the Eagles still have the best record or just as good a record as anyone else in football, if his numbers are so solid that he can be absent and he still have just as many touchdowns, if not more touchdowns than anybody in football, then his injury shouldn't matter at all. But at the end of the day, what your numbers look like. Go back to college. The first day in your first class of college, your teacher would hand you a syllabus. And they would hand you a syllabus, and it would break down how you were going to be graded. 10% attendance, 30% pop quizzes, 30% tests, 20% final exam. Do not overlook the final exam and the pop quizzes and the tests. Do not make that allow you to forget attendance counted. Yeah. And so just like attendance counts in a classroom, attendance for sure counts in a football field. Now, you don't got to go to class all day if you ace the final, you ace the quizzes, and you ace the test. But if you don't, we're going to look at that attendance. As long as Jalen Hurts' numbers stay up high, Shady, I don't think the injury matters. But if the numbers don't, you got to look at the injury. Talk to me.
Listen, myself and everybody in Philadelphia, when they seen this come across a ticker that he was hurt, it killed me. Heartbroken. First of all, the game against the Cowboys, sorry. Like, that's going to kill him. It's going to be the worst Christmas ever. So, yes, I do think it will affect the MVP race. See, this award, the MVP, let's just break it down. It's really Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow's trying to get in there, but it's really them too. Mm-hmm. So, if he misses even one game, it will. If Patrick Mahomes goes out there and throws for 300 yards, they win the game. Every show's going to talk about, Patrick Mahomes, this and that, the third. Now, Jalen doesn't get that game to showcase who he is. And if he does come back, the game plan's going to be different. You've been there when we play in the game where I might have different injuries. Coach might not use me as much. Yeah, Shady, okay, look, we'll give you the ball, but it's going to be some decoys.
Good point.
So now, them plays we see Hurts scrambling out there, when the quarterback-driven running plays for him, you might not see them. You might see safer passes. We don't want to get him touched. So I'm devastated, man. I really am, because he was on a MVP track.
Do you think it will completely derail where he's going?
I mean, I don't know that part, because I talked to some of my guys in Philadelphia, some of the guys on the team. They say he banged up, and that shows you how tough he is. They say he was hurt, like, yo, I can't get up, but I gotta get up. And the whole time on the sideline, he was hurt. So I'm scared, man. I don't know. Hopefully he's back, because we need our MVP. He makes that thing go.
It's depressing to think how good Cowboys-Eagles looked on paper, even as recently as, like, Sunday morning. and just how deflating it is right now. I mean, the Cowboys blew it. They blew the chance to
Bam!
make it.
Boom!
It's good to have you back.
Boom!
It's good to have you back.
I couldn't wait to do bam!
No, I mean, the Cowboys blew it on their end. They probably can't win the division anymore. And now, look, I mean, let's call it what it is. The MVP is a narrative award.
Yep. Right.
This was a moment for Jalen Hurts to put his flag in the ground, beat the Cowboys in their building, do the Superman thing, and maybe win the MVP if he plays really great. It shouldn't count against him, especially if it's only one game. I think it's a reasonable expectation that your quarterback's going to miss a game in the NFL, especially now that it's a 17-game season. But now you talk about if he's missing 2, and then all of a sudden, say maybe they find a way to beat Dallas. Now you can potentially rest your starters against the Giants in the season finale. You don't need a guy who just hurt his shoulder to play. There's a chance Jalen Hurts could be sidelined for multiple of these 3 weeks. And then what? This is a narrative award. Okay, I agree with y'all that Joe Burrow is kind of on the outside looking in right now. Keep in mind, I just want to throw this out there. The Bengals play the Ravens the season finale. Yep. The division lead is probably going to be up for grabs. Like, the Bengals don't have the luxury. And if Joe Burrow's out there throwing for 350, 4, if he wins the division on the last night of the season with an amazing performance, what are people going to say? Are they going to say, well, Jalen was really good in October? Or are they going to be like, the guy that's balling right now is the MVP? It's not fair, but that's just the reality of the situation. Fair. So I think it is a big deal.
Joy, you made a great point, though, in regards to what Jalen has already done. Let's talk a little bit about who might be his replacement, Gardner Minshew. Does a great performance by Gardner Minshew help Jalen Hurts' case, or does it hurt Jalen Hurts' case? If Minshew goes out there and plays well, competitive against the Cowboys, maybe beats the Cowboys or throws for a lot of yards, does that help or hurt Jalen Hurts?
Well, I think it hurts him because let's be honest about this. They don't want to give Jalen Hurts this MVP.
Mm-hmm. They hating.
Can we just say what it is?
Yeah.
They don't want to give Jalen Hurts this MVP.
I think you're right.
They don't. They don't want to give him the MVP. So if Gardner Minshew goes out with a great team around him and has a nice performance against the Cowboys and wins, because the Eagles are better than the Cowboys right now, so it's entirely possible, they're going to use that as an excuse for why it's really the team around him, which is a conversation that's already been started. We had it all last week, and it's not really Jalen. Because let's be fair about that. Not fair. Let's be honest about this. Any other team that was 13-1 at this point in the season, we would not be discussing if the quarterback of that team was a legitimate MVP.
Absolutely.
And in the coming years, I plan on being right here. And I will remind all of you, when there is another good team with a quarterback who has a record like this, that he can't be the MVP because it has to be the team around him. And I don't want to hear that it's what he's done before that makes him the MVP, even if the team around him is great. Because that's what we're doing.
If I'm at home, I'm confused.
So let's say this. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is having an incredible season. He's the best quarterback in the league. If he had the team that Jalen Hurts has, which he practically does, there are really, you can argue only the defense is the gap between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. I have the rankings right here. The real gap, you can argue, is they have a better defense, which they do. They have the second best defense in the league. The Philadelphia Eagles do. If next year the Chiefs have the second best defense and Patrick Mahomes looks like this, they're going to give the MVP to Patrick Mahomes, as they should.
No doubt. Yep.
Because he's the MVP. And let them be 13-1, there won't even be a question he wouldn't have to finish the season. They don't want to give Jalen Hurts this MVP.
Why? Because if I'm at home, that's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
If I'm hearing y'all saying they don't want to...
This isn't something that I'm making up. I'm not on like some conspiracy theory train. Peter Schrager tweeted it yesterday. I saw Peter's tweet, and I was like, I want to get involved, but I know the violence that's going to come after this. Because I agree with him. Jalen Hurts, he said, shouldn't lose the MVP award if he misses a few games. He's a guy right now. I hope the voters don't immediately dismiss what he's done because of a week or two out of the lineup. 13-1 and the true leader. My thoughts. I agree with you.
Right.
But we wouldn't be having this conversation about if the Eagles are winning because of him. We wouldn't be talking about how good the team is around him. And we wouldn't even be questioning if it was possible for him to still win the MVP if he misses a game or two, if he wasn't Jalen Hurts.
If I, though, am on the flip side, my thought is this. Patrick Mahomes is on pace for 5,400 yards. I believe the NFL record is 5,500 by Peyton Manning. Patrick Mahomes is on pace for 42 touchdowns. 54-77, that's the yardage he's on pace for. I don't know, though, that, Joy, you can dismiss what, like, Patrick Mahomes is on an MVP case.
I'm not dismissing it in any way, shape, or form. He is on an MVP pace. He is. They are the two in the race. I hear Joe Burrow, but I'm not going to just forget how the season started. It's a full season award.
Sit this out, Joe.
No. Joe's having he's having an
Pretty damn
MVP-level
good.
season. But, like, there's a reason we don't have Josh Allen in the conversation. He had 3 whole games where he was terrible.
Shady, you weren't present last week. I'll only bring that up 3 more times. You weren't present last week. I need you to chime in on this. Because Joy asked a question. It was rhetorical. I have an answer. I'm interested in yours. If the difference between the Eagles and the Chiefs is defensive, you played for the Chiefs. You played